French President Emmanuel Macron has maintained his lead over far-right challenger Marine Le Pen following a testy television debate. Now the poll opinion by Kea Partners puts Macron in the lead with 56%. Now the survey was conducted between April the 20th and the 21st after Wednesday evening's nearly 3-hour event.
French President Emmanuel Macron and far-right challenger Marine Le Pen locked horns on Wednesday in a high-stakes election debate. Their only one before Sunday's presidential election. The angry face-off saw them spar over the war in Ukraine, specifically Le Pen's links to Russia, as well as the economy, the idea of a hijab ban and the European Union. Macron's strongest line of attack against his rival was her past admiration of Russian President Vladimir Putin and a loan for her 2017 campaign contracted through a Russian bank.
You depend on the Russian power. You depend on Mr. Putin. A few months after saying that, Madame Le Pen, you took out a loan from a Russian bank in 2015. First check Russian bank.
Le Pen rejected the accusations.
He knows very well that I am a completely free and independent woman.
For Le Pen, who lags Macron in voter surveys by as much as 56 to 44, the debate was a chance to persuade voters she has the stature to be president. Le Pen has toned down her once staunchly anti-EU rhetoric as part of a bid to broaden her electoral appeal. She pledged to give money back to millions of French made poorer during Macron's 5-year presidency. But she continued her far-right anti-hijab stance.
I want to ban the hijab in the public space. I think, and I'll say it in the clearest possible way, that the veil is a uniform imposed by Islamists.
Voters will be reckoning with two opposing visions of France. Macron offers a pro-European liberal platform, while Le Pen's nationalist manifesto is founded on deep Euroscepticism. A Snap poll conducted for the BFM TV channel showed that 59% of respondents found Macron the more convincing of the two. However, Macron's lead in opinion polls is much narrower than 5 years ago, when he beat Le Pen with 66.1% of the vote.
Well, to make sense of all of this for us, we're now joined by a political commentator and a researcher on French politics, Hamid Chriet. Mon frère, bonsoir, bienvenue. Always good to talk to you. So, last night, I suppose so many people wanted to see this debate, those perhaps still trying to make up their mind. Some people say that Macron won on substance and Le Pen won on style. What's your take?
Well, I think this debate was very boring. I mean, there were not a lot of people who watched this debate. Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen have clashed over these far-right little links with Russia in television. When he debated, the incumbent president said that Marine Le Pen was dependent on the Putin and called Russian head banker. He has launched into fierce criticism of a loan taken a Russian bank in 2014. And I think the national rally denied her independence, was compromised by this. The debate was not really important. The higher stakes, was not mentioned by both candidates. So, I mean, French people have been very disappointed. There's a kind of disillusion for French people. And I mean, the boycott. I've read today one article about the audience about this debate since 1965. It was the lowest audience in the French history about the presidential election. So I mean, there was not a lot of people who watched this debate. But this is, is a very disaster.
But could this point to people saying, well, it's Macron Le Pen again, therefore Macron's going to win, there's no point watching?
Well, that's true. I believe that the French people now are very disappointed. They said, as you mentioned now, is that the French people did not believe in the democracy We've seen the two candidates. They also clashed over in particular, the renewables and the Muslim headscapes in public spaces. We've seen that Mr. Macron saying that Marine Le Pen planned to ban the headscape. And this would start of civil war in the French society, which is a very huge and dangerous statement to Marine Le Pen. How can a lady who pretends to run for the presidential election and to be a president wants to ban the headscarf? So people outside France, in the international countries, they're just laughing when they see this kind of ridiculous debate about the headscarf. So I believe now the French voters did not, take this decision. But as I mentioned in last programs, I believe that the abstention will be the major factors in this election. Do not forget that we will have the parliamentary election, the legislative election in France, in the parliament. And who is going to win? Who will be the most winner for the third round? We will have a third round. It will be, of course, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the left party. People now, Mélenchon enjoys substantial support because of the climate change. He has a winning an asset because of the inequality of the poverty. The rate of the poverty has goes up tremendously in France. So I believe that the left party with Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the Union Populaire, will, of course, benefits from these two debates.
All right, that
because
we shall
it
have
was
to.
the same debate as we had in 2017.
All right, that we shall see as that plays out. 2017, Marine Le Pen was accused of not being on top of policy issues, not really being on top of her story. How did she perform last night?
Well, she was better than before, but she was not very offensive. She was defensive. She did not, criticize his record. And she could, have done it because there was a lot of things to say about the record of Emmanuel Macron and his assessed about the sanitary crisis, the yellow vest, the increasing of the cost of the life, about the crisis of our democracy in France, about how a few affairs with, for example, the consulting cabinets of McKinsey, who manage the sanitary crisis, the COVID-19 in France. So I believe there was a lot of opportunity to criticize Emmanuel Macron, but I believe she couldn't criticize that. She was quite impressed by the offensive attacks by Emmanuel Macron, and this is, I think, was a very disaster for her and for her strategy.
All right, now Gabriel Attal, government spokesperson, says that Le Pen changed her style but not her substance, and I guess this is what you're saying. So if Macron won the debate last night, did he improve his chances of winning the presidency, or it didn't have an effect?
No, of course, it didn't have an effect because Marine Le Pen, no one in France, take her seriously.
I mean Macron.
This run. I mean, you mean Macron?
Yeah.
Well, Macron has, of course, he will win the election. This is a very obvious statement.
But has his chances improved because of the debate?
I don't think so. Emmanuel Macron has a very bad record in France, and he did not improve. As they mentioned, he was very, offensive. As people say, he was arrogant. It was a kind of boring debate for him. He was a teacher who gave her a moral, lesson of moral against her. So, Marine Le Pen, she was not able to respond to the few critics that Emmanuel Macron, has said. So I believe that Emmanuel Macron, of course, he improved his communication with a lot of advisors. He is well advised, that I can say that. But unfortunately, the most effect is that the French people now do not believe in the French democracy and in French institution. So Of course, this will benefit, as I said, for Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the Union Popular Party, and I think it will, of course, launch a mobilization and a huge protest in the street and in for the next legislative and parliamentary election in order to gather or to form a new majority in the parliament, first of all, and then to give as a Prime Minister Jean-Luc Mélenchon.
So Marine Le Pen is far right, Jean-Luc Mélenchon far left. Emmanuel Macron is seen as the centrist. He's won one election. He's probably going to win the second election. Does that tell you and tell people that French people want something in the middle of the two extremes or not?
Well, I don't think so. We have today 3 blocks. We have the far right, the far left, and we have the centrist. The reserve of the voters for Emmanuel Macron is finished now. Macron cannot, have a huge reserve as he was before, as he had in 2017. The far right now, they've got Eric Zemmour, who has taken 7% of these voters. But the new bloc, as I said, is the Union Popular. The Socialist Party did 1%, and the Communist Party did approximately 3%. But the most person that in the left party who did is Jean-Luc Mélenchon. So they did more than 21%, near to 22. So I believe these 3 blocks have a different perspectives and different programs, but we will have, of course, as well the fourth blocks is the abstentionist, and this is the main stake, is how to convince these abstentionists in order to, goes up to grow up or to raise these 3 parties. I think this will be a very huge, huge strategy for the 3 candidates, such as Macron, Marine Le Pen, and Jean-Luc Mélenchon.
All right. Is this the end for Marine Le Pen? I mean, how many times must she keep trying? Is this perhaps the end of her political career, particularly as a key leader of the far right?
I mean, she said that he was her last campaign, and I believe she will not, run for the next French presidential election in 2027. So is the last, and she will, of course, she will, I think, she will retire maybe, or she will be a major key in the political her party. Maybe we can have Jean Bardella, the young generation. He can maybe, run for the next election. So we will see.
All right. Hamid, merci beaucoup, mon ami. Let's speak after the weekend and let's see what happens. But it does seem that Macron will be president again.
It's a pleasure to have you.
All right, thank you. All right, that's Hamid Chriet, one of our regular commentators, sharing his thoughts and his insights about the French election.